Hi, and welcome to VR for Work. I'm Rick, and I'm your host here at VR for Work. Today is January 10th, and this is the first episode for VR for Work in 2021. So welcome to a new year, an exciting year ahead, I'm sure, for VR and VR productivity, meeting and collaboration, and education and training. And we're going to kick the year off by taking a look at a meeting and collaboration app some of you may have heard of and be familiar with. And that is a app called Glue. Can't explain much about the name. I'm sure there's a story behind that. But Glue is a meeting and collaboration platform in VR. It works on PCVR and Quest. So therefore, it's going to run in your HP Reverb, your Reverb G2, your Vive Pro, your Rift S, your Valve Index, Windows Mixed Reality. And they've most recently come out with their Oculus Quest 2, so mobile headset version, so that you can fully participate and take advantage of all the feature sets of Glue within your Quest and Quest 2 headset. Okay. There is a Windows and Mac desktop client to serve as a bridge between VR and 2D. Glue provides 6 spaces or environments for 15 to 20 participants to have meetings in. There is a tablet UI and app to manage all the in-app functions. And as you buy into the platform and create teams, there's persistent content retention in the team rooms. Now, one of the things you'll notice right away, and I certainly did when I spent some time in Glue, is that the dev team has roots and backgrounds in graphics and animation. So you will see some of the most awe-inspiring, wonderful environments in Glue that you have to select to have meetings in. So if we look at the tablet interface, these things again are becoming very standardized across most of the meeting and collaboration spaces that VR for Work has visited. You'll find the whiteboard. You'll find notes that you can both type and use voice for. There's a 3D draw function, laser pointer, camera, a browser in-app. You can pull in the desktop into the app, but there's no in-app control of the desktop view. So it would be great to pull in perhaps somebody who's joining from a Zoom or a Skype call into the meeting, but other than that, you'll have no control of the desktop from within the desktop or within the VR view. You can have a clock, or actually a variety of clocks and timers and countdowns that are very handy for meeting functions. In-app is also where you control your avatar, and we'll have some comments about the avatar platform and system later on in the presentation. You also select your locations here. And we'll talk about locations in a second as they relate to spaces in Glue. And so up on your tablet, you have 2 tabs. You have team spaces, right? And these are the actual environments or locations that you visit with your team. And then you have team files that, of course, are the files that you share with the team. Now, locations, and again, we'll show this a little bit later on, are locations within the spaces that you visit. So as you go into some of the larger spaces and you want to go meet with a maybe subgroup of folks in a specific location of the space, you will do that there in locations. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm using my Oculus Quest to enter Glue at this moment. So it's loading up here in the background. Sorry, I probably should have cut out this blank intro, but you'll see the glue, there it is, logo come up. And again, these guys are very heavily into graphics, and you are almost immediately taken as you pop in, and I'm auto logging in here because I've been in, my tablet kind of floats up in front of me. You open it and close it on the back of your hands. So I'm going to close that and then just take a look around, and you're greeted with your home space or your landing space. And again, it's this very beautiful location out on the water, looking at other spaces or houses that you might think other glue folks might be in. And it's very clean and colorful and detailed. And you can spend a lot of time really just looking around. But let's go ahead and open up the tablet and jump into the whiteboard, right? Upper left. Now the whiteboard, very nice writing experience on this whiteboard. It's very easy to navigate, and there's this pressure feedback that you get as the pen tip comes in to contact with the whiteboard. And it doesn't require another click or button press. When the tip hits the board, it invokes the ink, and so it leaves for a very natural writing experience. Of course, that there's always that struggle with not having the pressure, but I got to say that I jumped into it very easily, and even for my naturally messy handwriting, I was able to, I think, convey my words and thoughts adequately. Now, from here, the controls are you can clear the whiteboard, or in this particular case, if you tap the camera, it will take an image of the whiteboard and store it in your team files. Now we can get rid of that and go up, and actually, I think if we tap on team files, there's the picture of the whiteboard, and if we tap that, and you can actually share that with others that are in there, or actually with the big screen in the room. Now let's go ahead and jump into the team spaces, and here's the 6 spaces that you have to pick from. So you can see you can use those tabs up at the top to get to other functions, and I think we're going to select the Scrum place. And you'll load up a location every time you pick it. And of course, as they update any functions or features or graphics for that location, they get updated as you next go into that area. So we'll jump into the Scrum play. And again, these locations are so, you want to go look outside, and I look out the window and there's a dock and there's a boat and there's, beautiful pine trees and a lake that's surrounding. And you have this nice, big, airy, open, clean location. Now, here's a note that I had left. This speaks to the persistent. The last time I was in this room, and you reach out and pull your trigger with the laser pointer that comes out of the finger, right? You're able to then edit the object or to delete the object. And in this case, I'm going to get rid of it. And that's how you would handle any object that's brought into the space. So let's go back to our tablet. Open up team files, and we're going to grab the glue presentation, right? And that's going to open on our tablet. And in the upper left-hand corner, you have a present. Now, as you tap on present, I did struggle a little bit getting recognition for the taps on occasion, but if you're persistent, they come through, and then there's your presentation up on this really large, beautiful screen. And again, great graphics. The text is easily readable, and let's turn around, and we're going to go into the project planning room. And you can see they have a really big whiteboard separated as you might think in the plan, to do, complete, parking lot sections. And then I'll elicit the notes here in my tablet, change a color. And of course, here at VR for Work, if we got the option to use voice, we're going to use voice. And it worked beautifully, right? So let's do a new note using voice. And then when I create that note, it pops out. Now, I will say that I tried to see if I could manipulate and change the size. There was no luck with that. You can see there's a very nice shadow that comes up where you're placing it on the board, I guess, to help you identify and make sure you're putting it in the right spot. And so we're just going to do a couple of different colored notes here. Create the note, it pops it out in a 3D space. I can grab it, place it on the board. Excuse me. And this is how you would do, project planning here in Glue in the Scrum room or environment. And we're going to put this here, and then we'll get rid of our tablet, grab the pen, right, and we'll draw a few arrows just indicating, let's do a kind of circular process here, and step 1 to step 2, and step 2 to step 3. And again, it was really pleasant using this whiteboard, probably the best whiteboard that I might have used in any of the platforms that I can recall at the moment. So, and again, nice ability to take a snapshot of that board as we wish. We get the visual feedback that the image is stored in the plan team files. Everybody has them in the team files, so you're good to go. All right, so let's go visit some of the other locations here in the Scrum place, right? So you can see this would easily accommodate 10, 12 people in these rooms. You have 2 other locations here, one kind of within the building, one with windows to look out. And I, again, this is where you really kind of consider the work that you're being done and the attention span of the folks that you're with, and whether you kind of want them near a window, looking out, maybe considering or thinking about something while you're talking versus, hey, being more enclosed within the brick walls and really attending to the stuff that's in front of them. And here I brought up the browser, and it's a nice functional browser, nothing special, no secret sauce to it at all. I'm just kind of using the keyboard to go to the Glue site and pull that up. I think kind of like sharing your PC monitor or desktop within Glue is similar to having the browser. It's okay, it's there, but once I got to the site, I kind of realized I really couldn't share it with anyone yet. And of course, everybody else could follow along and pull their tablet up and their browser up. And yeah, I can take a picture of it or bookmark it, save it to the team files, which I did here. I got a screenshot of that particular browser window, and then I could go to present, but there's no monitor in this room and I can't spawn one. But what I'm assuming happens as I present is that everybody else with the tablet would then have this image come up on their tablet and be able to follow along with what I was saying. Okay, so we're going to finish this up, I think. Yep, we're all done here. We'll get rid of the tablet, close out that. And again, it's back of either right or left hand where you can control your tablet. And I think from here, we're going to go ahead and go to what I think is the crowning achievement of team spaces here within Glue, which is the Mont Matisse, using my faux French, Mont Matisse location here, which is a very expansive, large meeting site with multiple locations in it, and just visually very stunning. And so we'll let this load up for a second. And you'll see almost immediately as we enter in here, we're in this large, airy one. There's my VR hands clapping because you have these gauzy curtains kind of blowing in the wind. You've got this huge open deck, comfortable seats kind of all around, this beautiful view, trees right here behind you. And then you go out here and you see this large, expansive, open meeting area. And as you look around, you can see red, yellow, green, blue, teal, purple. And there's basically 6 additional breakout spaces. And now, let me pause here a second. As I opened my tablet and went to the locations option, now that I'm in the Mont Matisse environment or space, I can then go and pick any of these additional 8 locations that I might break into a small group with, right? And they're named by color and by a city identifier. We'll select turquoise Oslo, and you go into kind of this smaller, again, open deck, and you can look up and identify the gauzy windows. And we have the green flag, and you can look over and see the purple flag group and the yellow group off in the horizon. But all of these rooms have kind of these magnificent vistas and distances, and again, very open, airy, very inspiring, and graphically well done locations. And so we'll open this back up, and we can go back up to the original lounge area. But now we'll go down into the central square, and again, here's where you could see the various different locations and colors, and then we can look over kind of this large open air auditorium. And we're going to go down here for a second, and we can see the Rio Amphitheater, and this is where you might imagine, and I'm not sure how this would scale from a number of user perspective, but it looks like it's well designed for dozens and dozens of people and participants to land in. So you have to consider that Glue is looking to accommodate that number of folks. Now I'm standing over by this raised little platform with this button on it, and you can see I'm kind of pointing off into the sky here. And as I switch the button, boom, you can kind of see the presentation board come up, right? You get this huge monitor, if you will, where you can imagine kind of standing up here, opening up your content, going to your team files and opening up your content, and then kind of giving a presentation to other folks. Next, we're going to visit a much smaller location, Clarity Island, right? Where this is a much more contained, smaller, but again, equally as stunning and open an area. And you can just see how the thought was given to create these spaces that give people this psychological feeling of openness and airiness. There's a chessboard in here, and the pieces actually move, right? So you can kind of so you can imagine having a conversation while you're playing a little bit of a game of chess, but a much smaller, more contained area. You might think of a group of less than 10, kind of just being able to pace around and kind of sit around here. And this is a great discussion location, right? Where you get your ideas, and you share a lot of ideas, and then maybe you'll jump into the Scrum place and kind of bring some format to those, and then eventually have a presentation that you're doing over in Mont Matisse. Okay, now we're going to go to Lake Cubic, and we're seeing more of these locations, and I know I'm spending probably more time than I typically do kind of bouncing around, but again, these locations and the graphics and the thought into these visuals are so apparent and stunning that I wanted to share some of it with you. And again, from here, if we go into the apps and the locations, you can see there are 3 identified locations. I can jump to the roof, maybe have a smaller discussion with a breakout room, and then there's another platform down there where there's just 2 chairs kind of on an island. And even from here, you can kind of move around these floating platforms, and you can see, hey, we can even break out, we go from our larger presentation space where we landed into the other breakout space, and then even go down into the one-on-one chairs, which is this kind of isolated little spot with grass and a tree to kind of sit and have a discussion. And again, just you could just sit around and look at the visuals that are being presented here. Just very, very good. Here's our 3D pen, just a demonstration of it, right? Pulling the trigger and kind of get a sense of these kind of thick, balloony, you don't really get here the opportunity to, and I wasn't quite, you can point and then delete the object, but you're deleting it one line at a time versus the whole thing. So something to give consideration to as you're using the 3D pen. All right, and then we can delete that, and there you go. Okay. And one of the other things that I found really helpful was over here. Well, this is just the camera, right? And you can get a sense of, now one of the neat things is, yeah, you can zoom the camera. You can get HD or Ultra HD pictures. And when you're using, there's my avatar. We'll talk about that in a second, right? But the ability to get these HD and Ultra HD pictures, and especially when you're talking about the level of graphical detail, is, I think, very important. And then we have the clock, right? And you have the standard clock, you have a stopwatch, and then a timer. And when you're in a meeting and collaboration space, these kind of things can prove to be very, very important and useful. Right? Start that. And then I can actually, or start the stopwatch, and then I can actually pop it out. There you go. And now as I'm sitting and having my meeting, I kind of have a timer and say, okay, we have 20 minutes before my next event. Let's keep a timer. All right, and then I think the final thing that we're going to take a look at is the avatar. And you can kind of see how the avatar looks there. The way the avatar system works, and we might as well jump into that now, is that they're using a system and technology from a company called Rapport underneath the hood, right? And you get a character editor. So you're not taking a photograph like in my Lumi in the corner, and then that image is compiled based on the photograph, but you're choosing from components to get a likeness like you. And as they say on their website, right, minimal, elegant, but simple. These avatars are AI powered. And what Rapport does, right, is it manages facial animations and lip sync technology. So what Glue wants to do with these avatars is be able to convey emotion and reaction so that you get that non-verbal visual feedback about the response somebody is having to what's going on in the meeting. As far as costs, you can see that for 1 to 10 users, you're 50 euros per user per month when billed yearly. And then, as you scale up, you get these, smaller fees based on users. And so, work assessment model. Well, this is all about meeting and collaboration, of course. And so as you get into consumption and retention, these are very, very pleasant environments to be in, to share content in, and in being productive and efficient. You have kind of all your standard tools available to you to use for project planning and communications. And we talked about value at our last conversation about Meet in VR and how companies have to start looking at these costs, the soft costs as well as the hard costs related to not only employee value and hourly rates and salaries, but also those soft costs of travel and time and contributing to the environment of being able to do meetings without having to be in different locations or expending travel expense and expending the carbon footprint necessary to make these meetings happen. All right, and we're going to wrap up with this. Simplicity boils down to 2 steps. Identify the essential and eliminate the rest. And I think, you know, as the folks at Glue mentioned, right, they want to be about being simplistic and minimal and focusing on what's important. So thank you. I know spending your time here with VR for Work takes away important, valuable resources from other things and other efforts you might want to pursue. So thank you for being here with us. We hope you'll continue to tune in, and we'll see you in the metaverse. Bye now.